Welcome to effective use of a compound interest and annuities formula sheet. Before I start, your formula sheet will not look exactly the same as this, but the method I present will be the same. You need to ask your instructor for the formula sheet that is to be provided on the test. You need to practice with this sheet. Oftentimes, a person will look at a problem and be frustrated. What formula do I use? Of course you're frustrated because you need to prepare for which formula to choose. Before you even begin the question, you need to start to prepare. You need to ask yourself, is this an interest question or an annuity question? You need to ask yourself, is this an interest question or an annuity question? You can recognize annuity questions because they have payments all exactly the same size happening exactly at the same period of time. Simple annuities have payments occurring at the same time as the compounding periods. Now you need to decide if it's an ordinary annuity or an annuity due. Due has payments at the beginning. At this point, you are almost ready to start. In the event that it is a general annuity, you must find C, then calculate P. If you look at your formula sheet, N, as in Nancy, is the number of compounds. It is the number of compounds per year times the number of years. This piece of information is usually hidden. And remember, N as in Nancy is not T. M, as in Mary, is the number of compounds per year. M is the number of compounds per year. It is not dependent on the length of the loan. It is not dependent on how many times you pay back the loan. M is unchanging. It is associated with the interest. I is the periodic interest. It usually is not given in the question. Usually what is in the question is the nominal interest rate, J. To find I, the periodic interest rate, you take the nominal interest rate and divide it by the number of compounds per year. So for instance, if the nominal interest rate was 24% and it was compounded twice per year, the interest rate that you would use in the equation would be 12. 24 divided by 2. Now finally, you are ready for the formula sheet to be useful. Write down all your variables from the question. Be sure to include the variable of what the question is about. Now you can choose a formula from the sheet. The formula you choose must have the variable of what you're looking for. You might need to rearrange the formula so that the variable is positive, alone, and on the top. The actual use of the formula sheet is not that much. However, up until now has always been the hard part. You fill in the numbers, then you solve. At this point, it's simply plug and chug. Don't be fooled by a formula sheet. It's for the end of the question, not the beginning of the question. A couple of hints to finish. If a question is asking for how long or how much time, really what it's asking for is to calculate the compounds, or the N. Once you have this, then you can figure out the time. Remember, the N as in Nancy is not the same thing as time. It's related to time, but they're not the same. Usually when it's asking for how long or how much time, it's a two-part question. First you need to find the N, then you have to find the time. If a question is asking for the effective rate or the nominal rate of interest, you first need to find the periodic rate. I'm going to say it again. The formula sheet is for the end of the question, not for the beginning. So don't look at it and be frustrated. You can't look at it until the end of the question.